frogs in shallow water along the bank grass. But like I said, this time the water is about a foot higher. That bank grass or shoreline grass doesn't exist. So we really thought the fish were going to have to be offshore. Sometimes in the summer months, especially here in South Carolina, it's hot. The fish can suspend, and that's what you're talking about, that patterning. It's really tough to pattern them because the guys are catching them early shallow. They're having to move offshore when the sun gets high, and it just seems like the bite is not as strong as they want it to be.
You better believe it, and trust me, anybody in the Columbia, South Carolina area right now knows that the sun is high. I mean, it is steamy out here right now. These guys are out there on the water. When you're fishing for $500,000, though, Alan, I'm going to say they don't even really know that it's that hot out right now. What do you think?
If there's one of them that says I'm burning up and I don't think I can fish much longer than 4 or 5 hours a day, I would just like to write them a check for $500,000. Say, would you keep fishing if I gave you that?
You better
because
believe
someone's
it.
going to get it. Someone is going to take that check. But no, this is beautiful weather for fishing. This makes it tough. You know, I talked to a guy in the convention center this morning. He's the local here. He fishes. In the spring, he won a derby with 24 pounds. That just goes to show the type of fish that are here. So don't give up, because you're going to catch a big one eventually if you keep the bait in the water for 4 days.
You better believe it. Let's head on down the list just a little bit here. In second place right now, Chevy Pro Brian Thrift. A lot of people were picking this guy, you know, to have a great finish in this cup. You know, he's not very far away from here. He lives pretty close. And then there he goes. He backs it up. Second place going into day 2. You know, he had 14 pounds, 9 ounces. But a key factor in here, he had his 5 bass limit. What you'll notice as we go down the standings here, 5 in the box is going to be a very important thing this week.
It is. I mean, they've got to bring 20 fish to the scales to get the big check. That's ultimately the goal. Bring 20 good bass on the scales, and you're going to be a $500,000 winner. But like you said, Brian Thrift lives 2 hours to the north of us. You know, I kind of touched on it a minute ago. I'll kind of reiterate, fish care. Fish care, especially at a tournament when it comes down to ounces. We do know Brian Thrift did bring a limit of bass in. FLW does have a 98.9% fish release rate, but we do everything we can to take care of the fish. There's oxygenators, aerators. Water goes back on the fish immediately. But unfortunately, Brian Thrift had to have a 4-ounce penalty yesterday, which put him in a tie for second place with Cody Meyer. Now, with that being said, will those 4 ounces come back on Sunday and keep him from either winning the Derby or getting one of these $60,000 checks, $20,000 checks? It's a game of ounces.
Time will tell on that for sure. You just brought him up, Rappel Pro Cody Meyer. You know, he fought tooth and nail with Andy Morgan, our Angler of the Year, all year long, and he just fell a little bit short at that last event. But this guy, what a phenomenal year he's having. First of all, finished second in points, comes in after day 1 in the Forrest Wood Cup, sitting in third place. You can't count out this kid from California, right?
No, not at all. You know, some people watching this may think, the Rappel Pro Cody Meyer. Where did he come from? Who is he? He's no stranger to the Forrest Wood Cup, I promise you. He did come from California. He's really putting his feet down on the tour. Second place angler with points, like you said. But his past Forrest Wood Cup finishes, listen up here. 11th place. That was his first Forrest Wood Cup. Then he had a 7th place in the Forrest Wood Cup. Then he had a 3rd place in the Forrest Wood Cup. Then he had a 2nd place in the Forrest Wood Cup.
The way I see it, there's only one more spot for him to finish, right?
He's got enough trophies, don't he? He's going for the cycle.
Wow.
The cycle.
You better believe it. You know, that is really, really impressive coming out of him. The updates on him this morning, however, pretty quiet. You know, we don't have any on-the-water updates from Cody Meyer right now, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't have a sack of them in the boat already.
It is, and it goes for our leader. We're not seeing much on the leader. We're not seeing much of the 2-time Angler of the Year, the Kellogg's Angler of the Year, Livingston Pro Andy Morgan either. Right. No updates on him, no updates on Meyer. There's a few updates out there. The guys just aren't catching them today like they did yesterday. You know, if you were watching on Twitter or on FLW Live and looking at the updates yesterday, you know that most of the guys had pretty good limits by 9 o'clock in the morning. Today, what are we at? We're at noon. We don't even have a limit yet. So the guys are having to work today and putting in their time for sure. That's the updates, what we're getting.
You got it. The good news about that, though, Alan, these guys have got time left. You know, they're going to fish today until 3 o'clock, and you know we're both fishermen. Anything can happen. All you got to do is keep that lure in the water and see what jerks on the end of it. Anytime
there's an offshore bite, and from the inclination that we got yesterday, there is somewhat of an offshore bite, it can take 5 casts to put 20 pounds in the boat on almost any body of water. And with guys like Mark Rose, Randy Haynes, even Cody Meyer and Brent Ayler, these offshore specialists, you can't count them out.
Yep. Sitting in fourth place right now, Brad Knight out of Tennessee had a limit, 13 pounds, 7 ounces. No updates on him, but a great day one. You know, if you're not going to be leading the tournament after day one, it's a good feeling to be in that top 10, though, for sure.
Sometimes to be the leader is the tough spot. You know, David Dudley, he's got 44 other guys looking behind him, coming at him. That's
big
right.
Target on
he
his
is
back.
the guy. He knows he has to maintain. Where these other guys that maybe feel if they can just get 14 pounds a day, they're going to be standing on the top of the podium at the end of the weekend. So David Dudley has the pressure. Where guys like that right there, like you mentioned, Brad Knight, he's just going to go fishing and continue to move his way up the board. He hopes.
Sitting in fifth place right now, Scott Martin did come in with 13 pounds, 6 ounces yesterday. Another guy that we don't have any updates on right now, but we'll come back with you next hour, and hopefully we got some good info on him. In sixth place, Brent Ayler. You know, great first day, 13 pounds, 5 ounces. One of the good news for him, though, today, three in the box already. So, you know, it might have been slow for other people. He got a lot of that early work done now. He's looking for 2 more bites.
You can never take him out of the equation. You listen to him in pre-practice, the interviews he does, he never has a good practice, right? If we've all talked to him, you know, on Saturday before the tournament or even Tuesday before the tournament, well, I didn't have that good of a practice, you know, we're just going to go fishing. And I think this time he might be telling the truth because on stage yesterday, he did mention he brought 5 fish to the scales. He had 5 bites all day. He's got 3 so far, so he's probably having a little bit better today than he did yesterday, but we'll get to see what he brings to the scales at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, here we go. In 7th place, this is a big story here. Our man Anthony Gagliardi, a Chevy Pro from Prosperity, South Carolina. I think he's all of 30 miles down the road pretty much. He's your hometown hero right now. This guy's already met adversity this year. You know, a little bit of a slip up at the first tournament. Actually got him disqualified out of the first one. This guy fished his tail off for the rest of the season and actually still qualified for the Forrest Wood Cup on 5 tournaments.
If you could tell me that any pro in the industry, I don't care who you fish for, took one tournament off and said, you know what, I'm just not going to put my boat in the water today. I'm not worried. I'm going to make the Forrest Wood Cup. I think
no
you're
way.
crazy.
0%.
You're crazy. 0 points on the first tournament. Anthony Gagliardi made it, squeaked in, got into Derby. Here he is. And I tell you what, day one, if you watch the Twitter feeds and the updates, he did have a limit by 8:15 in the morning. 13 pounds by 8:15 in the morning. Managed to cull just a couple of times throughout the day, but weighed in 13.2. So really didn't upgrade his bag, but he's all about the morning bite.
I'm not sure how many he's got in the boat right now, but I do know that he had about 15 boats that followed him out to cheer him on while he's out there fishing today. That's got to be a good feeling. You know, you're out there, you've got friends, you've got family in the boat. Every time you set the hook, they're screaming for you, yelling for you. It's got to be a good feeling.
It's got to be to have that support, but on the same side, you know, you and I can stand up here and say that, but that's more pressure.
A little pressure.
That's the David Dudley pressure we're talking about. He's got to put him in the boat for his family sitting right over there, but it's also that hometown curse.
Yep.
I'm not trying to put anything on him. I wish him the best, and I hope he pulls his thing off like I do the rest of them, but
hey,
hometown.
Lucky number 7 right now, 7th place for Anthony.
Didn't even know that.
Here we go. Angler of the Year, Andy Morgan, sitting in 8th place. We have no updates on him right now, but he did come in with 12 pounds and 10 ounces yesterday. 9th place, Jacob Wheeler. You already brought him up once. He lost a good fish early. He went back out this morning, kind of the same spot. Might have caught that same fish. We know he does have a chunky monkey in the live well right now.
And he knows how to fish these. All-American champion, Forrest Wood Cup champion. He's got a 12th place finish in a Forrest Cup, a 2nd place. I mean, he was there last year, him and Randall Tharp going at it. He knows how to draw them out over 4 days.
Yep. Sitting in 10th, finishing out our top 10 here right now, Barry Wilson had a great day. You know, we heard some on-the-water reports of him yesterday that he was just lighting them up, you know, and that was not really the overall feeling for most people. And so maybe that guy's gone out there and got him this morning too. Let's go through a couple notables here real quick. Matt Airy yesterday had 12 pounds. The key to that, though, he did that on 4 fish. You know, had Matt Airy been able to catch that number 5 fish, you know, he's sitting in 12th right now. Throw another one in there, you might have been in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, who knows? You know,
definitely top 5. You know, yeah. That puts him around 13, 14 pounds. Just unbelievable on those 4 bass. He's around the right ones. Look forward to see what he has today.
Our first place co-angler, Brian New, another dude that has had an awesome year this year. He has got a first place lead going in right now to day 2. He's got 2 nice, solid keepers in the boat already. So Brian New, our co-angler leader, is not going to back down at all.
You don't need a whole lot of bites on the Coinger side, it seems like. First of all, these guys are fishing behind vacuums. We call them that all the time. It is what it is. They're the best in the business. So to be a Coinger in this tournament right now, if you caught a fish yesterday, you're definitely in contention to win this thing today.
Yep. And then Casey Ashley. Here's another guy that has had a pretty good year with us. He won the event at Hartwell. He fished the entire tour this year just to make it back to this tournament, and he did what he set out to do.
And when he fished a local tournament back in the spring at Lake Hartwell, he won it. He knew coming into the tournament he could probably make the Forrest Wood Cup because he'd have a good finish at Hartwell. Well, he did. Here he is. His plan is going right as he hoped it had, but not quite the finish on day one he'd hoped he had. I think he had about 9 pounds or so. But again, just like I always started this whole interview, it's anybody's ball game as long as they got a fish in the boat.
Once again, we'll be coming back to you over the next 2 days. We're going to have some awesome interviews. I think we've got Joe Baylog, Hank Parker, we've got Dave Lefebvre, we've got all kinds of people that are going to be joining us here throughout the weekend now.
Twitter.
Oh,
hit it.
Hit it up. Go ahead.
Hit Twitter, because this is about you, the viewers that are watching this, the people on FOW Live. They want the updates, so ask Daniel and I questions. Put them on there. We're watching the board. We'll write them down. This is Twitter-driven. So as long as you put a question out there and it's relating to the tournament, don't ask me my shoe size. We'll try to do our best to get you the best answer we can get you.
You better believe it. For the 12 o'clock edition of the Cup Insider, our hosts Daniel Fennel and Alan Gray. We'll see you back here in about 45 minutes.